Call to order the regular city council meeting of Tuesday, August 8, 2023. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call again, please.
Mayor Beagle,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Present.
Councilmember Behrman,
Present.
Councilmember Gotchel,
Here.
Councilmember Grenlin Fox,
Here.
Councilmember Sharp,
Present.
Councilmember Smiley,
Here.
quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda tonight as presented. City Manager,
Mayor, I do not have any.
Assistant City Manager,
Your Honor, I do not.
any from the dais? All right, seeing none. Approval of minutes. We've got one set of minutes to approve tonight, and that's from the regular city council meeting of July 25th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, corrections? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of July 25th, 2023. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We got 5 items of correspondence for tonight. We got a notice of hearing for the electric and gas customers of DTE Energy case number U-21313. Notice of hearing for the electric and gas customers of DTE Energy case number U-21322. Notice of hearing for the electric customers of DTE Electric case number U-21353. Notice of hearing for the electronic customers of Detroit Edison, case number U-21403, and a notification from IT service provider of merger with sister company Skynet Innovations. That brings us to the first call to the public. The rules to the call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons to wish the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to city manager's reports. Fire monthly report of June 2023. Any questions? Councilmember Grenlin Fox?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So just 2 questions. There was one about the hazardous condition. I see that it's went up. I know it's hard to say because it's a whole year, so I don't know if it's been incrementally also going up, but can you talk a little bit about what that would be and the primary cause?
Yes, for the month of June, we had a thunderstorm move through with high winds, and we took approximately 15 calls in one afternoon. So that was the increase for that month, for the hazardous calls, hazardous conditions.
Okay, thank you. And then the false alarm calls I see went up. Is that because of the power outages?
That has something to do with that, not specifically power outages. We have had a couple nuisance alarms that we've had and been working with providers on over the last couple months. So, yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Anybody else? Very good. Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
Police monthly report, June 2023. Any questions? Councilmember Grenlin Fox?
Good evening. So the fraud, forgery, and embezzlement, I see that has went up quite a bit. Do we, or have we ever had classes for residents to talk about how to avoid getting caught up in that?
Yes, we have. We've had 3 or 4 classes over at the senior center, mainly dealing with the seniors. We're going to try to expand that a little bit more to the community as a whole through them so that we can put some of these classes on.
That's great. Is it our officers that are doing that?
Yes, ma'am, our detectives.
Awesome. And then my other question was all other classifications, the juvenile offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that we can, or that we are looking at and trying to head off?
We are, this is kind of an anomaly right now with the juvenile offenses. They've lowered the age for juveniles, so we're being able to move people more into probate court, which is helping us out quite a bit. It's the summertime too, so we're seeing a bigger effect of those right now. I realized last year was extremely low. This number is actually closer to what it should be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Chief. And that moves us to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda will be considered routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support?
I have a motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented tonight. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no unfinished business tonight, so that moves us into new business. New business item number 1 is a recommendation to approve traffic control order number 107 to prohibit parking along the residential side, Fletcher and Theodore Streets surrounding Lewis Norton Park, and erect and maintain no parking signs. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Very good. Chief Langmeyer?
So, early in the spring, we were advised by residents, of a tribute sub over here, about problems they were having when there were events at Lewis Norton Park, especially when there's events there, the food trucks that they bring in during the week, parties during the weekend, and people parking on both sides of the street and not being able to get through. They asked that we look into some no parking signs on the residential sides of the street. So we moved forward with that. I contacted the Traffic Improvement Association for an engineering study to watch that and let us know about it. They returned their report back to us in July, and the recommendation is that we do prohibit parking on the residential side of both Theodore and Fletcher Streets surrounding Lewis Norton Park. They like the residential side just because it makes it easier for the residents there to be able to get in and out of their driveways. People are using the park. That's where the events are going on. So this will allow them to park right by the park. It's a little bit safer for people getting in and out of their cars to get to the event that they're having in the park. So I'm here today asking for your approval to erect the signs and prohibit the parking.
Councilmember Gatchel.
Thank you. I understand wanting to limit parking. At one of the events that we had, I actually parked on the north side of the park and walked all the way down through the city. It might have been the Christmas tree lighting, actually, this most recent one. And yeah, completely lined with cars, so I understand the need for it. I was just, my mind kind of went to the safety issue. If we have people parking on the inside, I think about rounding that corner if I'm headed toward City Hall, so southbound, and people are parked right up to the corner of that park, basically. It could pose a little bit of a blind spot issue, and I know a lot of bikers use that area to get to the airline trail. Are we going to be setting a setback from the corner of a few car lengths as well for no parking?
You're already required by Michigan law to not park within 30 feet of a corner.
Okay.
So that's already there.
Do we have those signs up?
We don't have those signs up. That's just part of the motor vehicle code that you can't park within 30 feet of a corner or a stop sign.
I don't know the whole motor vehicle code, and I don't think
Nor do
most
I.
people do either.
Without this, I wouldn't have known that.
So I think if we're putting signs up, then it might behoove us to add those as well. Just because I think that would pose a safety issue, and I'd hate to see a car come flying around that corner and hit another car or a biker. So that was the only safety thing that came to my mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Behrman?
Thank you. My only question was this specific plan shared with the residents that live around at that park?
No, we followed we got the complaints from the residents, so then I had the traffic study done. I shared their concerns
I just wasn't sure, like, if I was a resident there, would I rather be able to park in front of my own house versus have to cross the street?
Their recommendation from the traffic people are that parking on the other side of the street will make it safer for people going to the park. And it also will allow the residents to get in and out of their drive easier. So that's why they picked on that side of the park, according to the report.
assuming the only notice to the residents is the fact that it's in our meeting tonight?
Yes.
Just seems like maybe we should have at least followed back up with the residents prior to bringing it to council.
Okay.
Just to make sure that's what they want. I mean, we're only guessing at this point.
This was the request that was made, that the parking be allowed on the park side.
By the residents?
Yes.
By some residents.
By some.
And, you know, the question of the traffic study wasn't the residents wanted or not, it's what would be best for public safety in that area, and they came back with a recommendation that they had. I understand your concern about the residential versus the park side. I can understand that concern in terms of, you know, if you park across the street, now you have to cross the road to get to your home if you have to be parking on the street. There's pros and cons to any approach, I suppose, and the TIA came up with the fact that the better serving the public interest would be eliminating parking on the residential side and allowing it along the park side. There's pros and cons to everything. If you pick one over the other, if you pick residential, there's the issue of people having to cross the street to get to the park, et cetera, et cetera. There's difficulty, potentially more difficulty accessing driveways, et cetera. So there's pros and cons either way. They just made that recommendation.
I guess too, that, you know, the residents requested a traffic study. We did the traffic study. This is what the traffic study said we should do. I mean, the residents wanted a study. They wanted, they didn't want parking on both sides. The recommendation is parking on this side. I mean, they asked for it, they got it. Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Langmuir, just the words and the little graphic that's in the package don't exactly align. The red line in the graphic, the picture, the drone picture we have, it goes down Theodore Street, down the middle of the street. I assume that's supposed to be over on the way the rest of the houses, the red line is near the houses, but on Theodore it's, yeah. So it's going to be no parking on the north side of Theodore.
Yes.
Along the houses that are there.
Yes.
Okay, that was the first thing. Second thing, people in, this is kind of blindsiding you a bit. We've been to some homeowners association meetings with Tribute, and they're complaining about people going through the stop signs. Well, I've had an opportunity to drive through that. I don't know where the stop signs are because they're all blocked by trees. Has anybody looked at the tree situation in there? That's the real safety problem. I mean, parking problem.
And we can get those cleaned up.
So, they're right, like, you got a stop sign and 6 inches next to it is a tree blocking the stop sign. You really, and then there, you know, some don't stop, some don't. It's kind of on off every other one. I'm lost when I go in there. Probably their plan to keep people really slow, but I bet it doesn't work. I'll bet people are going through stop signs. Anyway, that was neither here nor there. Thank you. I'm done.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chief.
Yes, I agree with this because during light the night, of course, it was quite difficult to maneuver through there. You're trying to exit. But also, just as a note, the rest of the subdivision, like on Independence, Theodore, and Goodrich, it is parking only on one side of the street, and all those residents are used to that. So I don't think it's inconsistent with the rest of the subdivision. So.
Any other questions? Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. Yeah, I think this is a good idea too, and to Councilman Behrman's concern, I think it's a public safety element, not so much a only for the, you know, I know the residents initiated it, or some of them did. It might have been one, who knows? But you know, I think the point was in our packet was, you know, police and fire can't get through on a busy, you know, park night, you know, event night, and you know, it might catch some residents by surprise, and I think that's going to happen whether we make a big, you know, hubbub about it or not. So I think we're okay.
Councilmember Gatchel.
Thank you. I think since the comment has been made about not talking to residents before this came to us, I don't know, how many complaints did we have? Do you know offhand?
I had one.
One, okay. So potentially one resident making a change for 14 houses looked like it would be impacted. which it can be a traffic issue, and it's an emergency services issue, so that's our prerogative. But I think when we talk about communications, I think we need to mail these 14 homes and let them know about the change moving forward. I had clients that live in nearby condos, and their HOA went through and put up no parking signs on one side of the road, and all the residents were up in arms because they weren't notified, and those signs ended up coming down because it didn't work for them. So I think we just need to communicate with the residents moving forward. That way they don't see the signs go up and maybe they get a ticket or a note or whatever. We need to be a little bit more proactive on communicating before we start enforcing anything. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve traffic control order number 107 to prohibit parking along the residential side Fletcher and Theodore Streets surrounding Lewis Norton Park and erect and maintain no parking signs. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. New business number 2 is a recommendation to accept permanent road easements along Beck Road granted by property owners at 28,500 Beck Road, 29,181 Beck Road, and 29,201 Beck Road for the future Beck Road construction for a total combined cost of $89,005 from the LDFA Construction /ROW account number 250-551-971.000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Very good. Mr. Sigma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What we have are 3 of the easements that we've been targeting. They are all south of West Road, between West Road and 12 Mile on Beck. And what we've been concentrating there is to try and get all of the easements within that area for a 60-foot roadway. So we needed an additional 27 feet on either side for, I believe, all 3 of these easements. And that will promote better possibilities for grants in the future, and also we'll be more prepared for when we actually get the funding for Beck Road widening. And this is, as you know, a many-year process, and we've been working on it for quite a while. With HRC, they have helped us acquire these easements, and we feel that it's warranted at this point to go ahead and document them. One other caveat with this is if we receive funds from either the federal government or the state, we have to show that we have offered pricing that is a valid offer for the value of the property, and that's where these came from. We did a title search on the companies that were there, and we had a company develop pricing for each of these, and they came up with a square footage cost, and that was the offer that we made to each of the individual property owners along this corridor. And with that, I'm open for questions.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you, Ms. Sigma. Maybe Mr. Benson has the answer, but how far along are we now? How many more parcels do we have yet to acquire? On the south section?
So the south section, we had 12 targeted, and we, I believe we've got 4 that are signed. We're working on the 4th one right now with ownership, but we feel that we should have that one here shortly. And there are a few other ones that are in the wings. We're hopeful to get them here within the next, I don't know, six months.
We are, we're at varying stages with each of those. Some are easier than others. Outside of the meeting, we'll tell you some of the stories we've heard about trying to acquire these. I will say there are some property owners who are more willing and amenable to even consider the cash offer, let alone the donation, which nobody takes us up on. But some folks we don't actually anticipate that we will get them in, even within the next 6 months or a year. Some people are actively holding on to them, whether it's they want to see final construction plans before they'll do it, or they're trying to get other concessions that perhaps aren't reasonable. So in the short run, those are issues that we may have to deal with in kind of more aggressive ways that will be better facilitated when we're closer to a project. At least we'll have the documentation to do so, but we should be able to get the majority of these, as Mr. Sickman said, within the next 6 months or so.
And then my second question is that the Local Development Finance Authority monies, at a certain point, that goes away, if I recall.
That is
Isn't it?
correct. Our
What-
LPFA is not.
Do we know when that is? Or the money, we just have to use them by a certain date, then, don't we?
I don't know that there's a restriction on when we have to use it
Okay.
by. It's closed.
Yeah, it's
There's
closed.
no further activity, or no further capture, but I don't know if there's a limitation on timing. It's got to be used for specific purposes.
Yeah. And this
We can
is
check as to
allowed-
whether there's any timing limitation that I don't recall at this time.
Okay, all right.
This was one of the purposes
Yeah,
for this.
I recall that, I discussed it. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Getchell.
Thank you. The 29201 is the residential property, right? Even though it says it's owned by a company out of Redford. Is that right? Or at least, even if it's not residential, it's a house or was a house?
Yes.
Okay. So the damages on that contract, it says plus additional damages, 4,300, which seems to be the asphalt paving multiplied by the price per square foot. How is that a damage to them?
Again, we went through the value of the title company for these offers, and those were the assessments that they made prior to us making
The restoration after we do the project, is that what we're dealing with there, Tim?
So multiplying the 945 square feet of asphalt paving by the 450 is like 4252, and we have 4,300 plus additional damages. I didn't notice anything else that said specifically 4,300 for trees or what have you. So we're taking over a portion of a crumbling, or what appears to be crumbling extra pad of asphalt. I don't understand how that is a damage to them. And if they're buying the road, then they're gonna have a road access still. It's not like we're taking out ornamental trees or that we're taking away used and in good shape pavement from them. So I understand we're using appraisals and we have to offer fair market, but I think I would push back on the appraised value of that. I don't think it is worth $4,300 in damages. I don't think it's a damage to them at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's just restoration of the remaining pavement was calculated somehow, but if you want to do some additional research, we can bring it back next time to the next one that we'll have available. If you would like to get that answer, we can take care of that.
I personally would like to separate that one out, but I'll maybe see if anyone else has any comments along that. But I don't think that is, I mean, we look at additional damages for the one right above it, 29181, and it talks about 3 maple trees and garden landscaping. Yes, that is damaging. This is a crumbling section of asphalt they haven't maintained and don't use. So I don't agree with that.
I think it may be referencing the loss of parking that comes with that. That could theoretically be considered a damage or a loss of some of the value that they've invested into their property. Condition is different. I'm not going to argue with you on that piece, but that can be a consideration of values. If I have, 5 off-street parking spaces that I've built onto my property, now I'll only have 4. That can be a consideration of damage.
That's being maintained as of residence, though.
Correct.
So I've never seen driveway length listed as an adjustment on any appraisal report I've ever looked at in my entire career.
Well, the section that I'm referring to doesn't appear to just be driveway. It appears to be like parking, like that they've paved farther. It's not just.
I understand that, but even when people have extra pad for an RV, that doesn't get adjusted for by most or any appraisers. So that's kind of my point here is I don't agree with that. And if we could push back on it, I don't think it's worth costing ourselves $4,300. I mean, that is a finite amount of money in the LDFA funds, and if we can use that to purchase something else, then we should be. I don't agree with the additional damages. And if I'm the only one here, then what we do, I'm used to it, but I think moving forward as we negotiate these, I think we need to take a hard look and say what is actually being damaged. Because if you're not actually having any damage, like we're not taking out your 3 ornamental maple trees in your garden landscaping, we shouldn't be paying for it. So, thank you.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Who would we be pushing it back against in that regard? Would it be the title company or the owner?
What we would likely do, if this were declined and you wanted us to look into it more, the first step would be having a conversation with HRC and the appraisers who provided us this information to try to get better clarification on exactly what they're referencing and how that was calculated. But then ultimately we would have to go back to the property owner with a revised offer if it was determined that that $4,300 shouldn't be on there for one reason or another. We would then go back to the property owner and say, we've got a revised offer, will you accept this?
Okay. So it's that number, 4,300, came from the people we asked to look into it, not the
appraisers.
Yeah, not the residents. Okay.
And that was done by MDOT and the federal government standards for how those appraisals should be done. I'm not going to claim to know every nuance of how that works. I just know it's a lot of people.
I just want to clarify, it's one thing to be, going to the residents saying, hey, you can't say this is worth 4,300, but the people we asked to put a price tag on it said it was 4,300.
So what I was going to say, if I can, Your Honor, real quickly, just I'm not concerned about the timing of this at all, and we are going to be bringing another one up for consideration, likely within the next 2 weeks for the next council meeting. If not, we can wait until the first meeting in September, and we can bring back that one as well as this one, and with some additional clarification if that addresses council members' concerns. Great. If it doesn't, then you can act accordingly. But I have no issue with delaying it. If you want to just pull that one from it and let us go back and get some further information on the $4,300, I don't have an issue with that, and we can take care of it at a future meeting.
Take care of them all at the same time or individually, however you'd like.
We can proceed with the first, or the 2 that aren't being questioned, and we can move that one off to a future meeting and get that clarification on the $4,300.
Councilmember Grella Fox?
Thank you. I would support going back and getting some more clarification on that. I mean, $4,300 is $4,300. So if it was a mistake on their part or something that...
We're talking about 29-201, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the statement of compensation specifically addresses it's not trees or landscaping, so I'm assuming it's related to the pavement that Assistant City Manager Benson just mentioned, but we'll clarify that, bring it back for future consideration with that clarification, and we can go from there. Not a problem.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. I was just looking at the sketch of the easement that's on there. It says no field work performed, description taken from record, so it sounds like they didn't even go look at it. So maybe it is a crumbling driveway that has no, so anyway, I support pulling that one. Doing it later.
Councilmember Gacho?
Thank you. I would just, I guess, caution from my professional experience, don't defer to the appraisers as experts of value. And it probably says right on the appraisal report their opinion of value. And so that is all it is it is their opinion of value. And not every appraiser's opinion of value, their opinion of value. And I've experienced it multiple times in my career where we can have swings of even up to $50,000 in value over the course of 3 weeks between buyers and appraisers, and price differences where one appraiser values property and that buyer backs out, and then the other one comes in and we get a substantially higher appraised value. So, and it's not irregular or uncommon in real estate to also contest an appraisal report. It's a very subjective science, and that's putting it politely. A lot of banks have even gotten away from sending appraisers out to value properties because it is so subjective. So I understand that's their job, but I would not say that's the end all be all of the situation.
I'm with you, I just wanted to know.
Thank you.
So we need a motion then to
Can we amend the?
amend the original, okay, let's amend the original motion to remove 29201 Beck Road from, who made the,
Oh, you did.
no, I can't do it. Who made the,
You need one. Who's making the motion?
Isn't it?
Well, the-
For the amendment, you could, yeah, I'm assuming Councilmember Gotch would make the amendment motion.
I'm just saying, if the original makers of the motion just amend their own motion to remove that, is that clean?
I think
To the
so.
maker, who was the first?
Councilmember Smiley made the motion
Right.
and Councilmember Grenlund Fox seconded.
right? Yeah, you did. So,
I don't remember. It was,
Oh,
well, you won the coin toss, so you.
I
I wrote it down, but that was my list.
So do you want to amend your motion?
Oh, I'm sorry, now I get it, okay. Yes, I'd like to amend the, new business 2, that we remove the address 29201 for future considerations on the damage question.
Support.
Very good. And do we need to, no, we have a
We'll just
motion.
vote on it now.
Yeah, we got to vote on that now, the motion?
No, you got a new
No.
motion to vote on. You
Okay.
amended it, so.
All right, I got a recommendation to approve to the recommendation to accept permanent road easements along Beck Road granted by property owners at 28,500 Beck Road and 29,181 Beck Road for a future Beck Road construction at a combined cost of, it's not going to be 89,000 anymore.
What is the total? rate?
89,005 minus
67,830.
89.
67,830.
Okay, $67,830 from LDFA Construction, ROW account number 250-551-971.000. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Don't go too far, Tim. New business number 3 is a recommendation to authorize participation in the State of Michigan Cooperative Purchasing Program, contract number 071B770089 for the purchase of a case front end loader from Southeastern Equipment Company of Novi, Michigan for an amount not to exceed $200,736.88 from Greater Replacement / Loader account number 411-441-973.393. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Support.
Right, Deb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The DPW utilizes 2 loaders, front-end loaders, for primarily for snow removal and salt addition into our trucks. So we usually have one situated down here at City Hall during the winter months to do the parking lots downtown and some of the sidewalks. The second loader is used in the salt barn to load our trucks. We have 2 different size loaders. They both have approximate height, but this one is just a little larger. It's able to push heavier snow and also pick up heavier loads of salt. And excuse me, this loader will be replaced. It will replace the 2008 or 15-year Caterpillar that we have been utilizing. It is starting to age, and it is now time to replace it. We have found a case loader that is of the same style and would serve the same purpose as the one that we are replacing. And this is through the Michigan Cooperative, or the My Deal work. And we would like to purchase this loader for $200,736.88. I'd be open for questions.
Councilmember Barron.
Thank you. Just two questions, Tim.
Yeah.
This wasn't the one that we just rebuilt.
No. So we rebuilt the backhoe, which has the extended arm on the back. And what we're worried about with this one is it is used for salt and actually sits in the salt
And
barn.
we paid, what,
$30,000
just to
to
rebuild?
rebuild this one.
And then my second question is, how did we get the adopted budget of 201 and the bid comes in at 201?
That's a fair question. It actually, we had it bid at, or we had the budget of 200,000, and it came in very close. The other bids that we started to look at that were part of my deal were 238,000 and 250,000. We've been watching pricing for most of the year on this, and so we had expected that it was going to stay there. There's $3,500 for moving it to the location, so plus or minus on that, just trucking it back and forth would account for the $700. But from March to present, that's what it came in at.
Okay. I just always curious when
Yep.
things come in right at budget. So
No, we watch them.
thank you.
Anybody else? Councilmember Smiley?
Just to give you a little more of a hard time, even I was like, oh, Peter's gonna be all over that. I thought it was gonna be the other one. And even I was like, DPW staff recently began investigating, like, wow, they just recently started looking at it, boom, they hit it right on the budget number.
That's great.
A more serious question, the one that's being replaced, got any value? We're gonna auction it off, that
We're
kind of thing?
hoping,
Get
we're hoping to
something?
get, 50,000
Oh,
roughly
okay.
for it. It just depends on the market and when we
Sure.
put it out there.
I'm glad it's got some value.
It does have some value.
It's something of consequence.
It's
back.
going to start, some of the upgrades that would be required if we keep it would be similar to the ones that we did on the backhoe. The front end, there's some bushings and gears up front there that will need to be replaced.
Did it wait for the salt, maybe it'll last a little longer?
Replace all 4 tires. There's some expense there that it's time to buy a new one.
Okay. Thank you.
When will we take delivery of this?
I think it's still like 6 months out, so we would keep this, we would keep the other loader.
The other one will be fine for the 6 months?
We expect it to be, yes. And that is the other concern that we have. We're hoping to get it before winter, because if one of the loaders do go out, it makes it tough to fight the snowfalls. Loading there and then bringing it back up front here and then going back to DPW, loading again, it makes it for a mess, so.
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions, and I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to authorize participation in the State of Michigan Cooperative Purchasing Program, contract number 071B770089 for the purchase of a case front-end loader from Southeastern Equipment Company of Novi, Michigan, for an amount not to exceed $200,736.88 from Grader Replacement / Loader account number 411-441-973.393. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. New business number 4 is a recommendation to adopt the resolution approving the interlocal municipal credit agreement with Oakland County and authorizing City Manager Steve Brown to sign the agreement and terminate the existing transportation agreement with Peoples Express. Do I have a motion?
Support.
City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor.
There's been a little bit of a long story on this. We've had prior action where we approved me to sign off on whatever processes were necessary on an interim reimbursement program that was established by the county after the passage of the Oakland County-wide transportation millage. That has been handled in accordance with your approval. I've signed the interlocal agreement on that, which was recently provided to the city. There are expense reports that we're going to submit for January through June of 2023, and then July through December of 2023. I've prepared the January through June piece, and we'll hit submit this evening when I get back to my desk, because we had one more person take a look at it to verify all the details, and we're ready to go on that. While we were pursuing that program, we knew that we were going to have a longer-term solution that we needed to address. And the communities that are involved with People's Express as our transportation provider, the 7 other communities, or the 7 total communities that are involved with People's Express, have been meeting with the county as well as with People's Express about a variety of things. We've reached an agreement with them to proceed in the fashion that's before you tonight. There was a Oakland County and People's Express contract that was put together, or agreement that was put together for them to handle service directly to eliminate the need for us to expend funds and then be reimbursed for that. There were service considerations that were put in play because of that, elimination of individual community boundaries within the process, so that we have one larger boundary. I think it was on maybe page 505 of the agreement, I think it's shown, that's attached. So in the past, there was a set of limits or parameters for Wixom service and for Commerce service and for Milford Township service. Those are all being eliminated. We're going to have a single service boundary area that will be in play. Additional hours of availability will be made available to the people that use the service. The rates that will be charged to them will be changed to be consistent with what's charged through the larger transportation service like through SMART. So a variety of those things came into play in the discussions. And Oakland County recently passed the agreement with People's Express. So we're ready to take action and move forward with 2 pieces of business, essentially. One of which is the establishment of an interlocal agreement where the individual communities that are involved with People's Express agree to basically transfer their municipal credits from SMART to offset the costs of service that will be absorbed by the Oakland County-wide transportation millage. That'll be basically signed over to People's Express, who will then credit their invoices to the county. So we're signing over the municipal credits through the authorization for me to sign the interlocal agreement to that effect. And then the second piece is because we have a new arrangement between Oakland County and People's Express. The old arrangements between the individual communities and People's Express need to be terminated. People's Express has already sent a communication to us that they're ready to terminate that contract. Your motion or your approval tonight would allow me to sign the interlocal agreement and move forward on that, as well as terminate the agreement with People's Express on September 1st when the new agreement between the county and People's Express goes into effect. So that's roughly speaking what's before you tonight. Good news is we're going to be expanding service for the residents of Wixom and the other communities that are serviced by People's Express. It's nowhere near a one-for-one relationship in terms of what the contributions from our individual communities are for the millage, but it will be a substantial uptick in the service quality to the people of our community and the other communities.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
I just had one. I noticed in your notes you said that since the millage passed, there's been a substantial increase in ridership. Was that just because of awareness?
Yeah, that's our theory. Yep, that's exactly right. There's been more talk about transportation. There's been more talk about the fact that there's this county-wide millage. Maybe people who didn't think that they would be looking into that have changed their mind and decided to look into it and have started to utilize the service at a higher rate. We have anticipated that to expand even further still, and we have general agreement under that reimbursement program, for example, that if our ridership expands further, they were going to reimburse us, not limited to what it had been in the past. And the amount that was approved with the county, which I believe is just over $1 million, should reflect that added demand as well.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager Brown, I commented on this 6 months ago or so. In fact, I wrote it down on my calendar to ask about it in November, but apparently got resolved sooner. So we're getting money back from the county to cover our expenses that we've put into People's Express already. I know it's in there someplace.
Under that reimbursement program, we're going to get paid for the expenses we've absorbed, yes.
Yes. What are we doing with that money? What happens to it? Is, I made some kind of snarky, but it's a serious comment about we double taxed all our residents they paid for our service and they're paying for the county service for 6 months or something like that. So now we're getting reimbursed and that's good. What do we do with it? Just put it back in the coffers?
Yeah, go back in the general fund, might be allocated for other purposes. For example, things that go over budget, things that pop up that would need to be covered would be utilized, we utilize that money. It's not a substantial sum of money. The amount that we invested in a transportation program was in the neighborhood of $40,000. I think the number will go up from there with the added usage, but it's not going to be a huge sum of money.
I know it's not a huge sum of money. It's just, it's annoying for all the residents who probably, many of them didn't vote for the millage and we passed anyway, and they're already paying for bus service, and now we're saying, sorry about your luck, but you're getting charged twice for it for something good percentage of people don't use. So unfortunate, but it's soon to be ended, right? We're going to stop our expenses, and all expenses will be covered by the county.
Correct. We send over the municipal credits, they pick up the remainder.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to adopt the resolution approving the interlocal municipal credit agreement with Oakland County and authorizing City Manager Stephen Brown to sign the agreement and terminate the existing transportation agreement with People's Express. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
New business number 5 is a recommendation to convene in a closed session of the City Council in accordance with the Michigan Open Meetings Act after council comments to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state and federal statute. So, motion? Move.
Councilmember Getchell?
Yes.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Sharp?
Can we have discussion first about what the topic is or not? No topic, no discussion. Yes, I guess. Aye.
Councilmember Smiley?
Yes.
Mayor Beagle?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yes?
Councilmember Behrman?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Moves on to the second call to the public. This rule of call to the public were the same as what I read before, with the exception you can speak whatever's on your mind. Do you have anybody in the public audience tonight for the second call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close that and move on to City Manager's comments. City Manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Huron River Watershed Council had applied for green infrastructure grants for the improvement of parks and wetlands in Wixom and Walled Lake. Those applications were ultimately successful, and the council has recently moved forward with the work in Wixom and designed and planted some native wetland beds at Gunnar Metallic Park in July. If you have any more questions on that, I'm going to definitely defer to Tim Sigma on that. So if anybody has any questions on it, I'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, that's the only thing that I had on the city manager update for this evening.
Assistant City Manager Benson, anything?
Yes, just one note. Members of City Council should have received individually notifications about a groundbreaking for people-driven technologies that they have scheduled for Thursday, August 17th. You are all invited, as our partners from the Chamber and other groups.
From 9 to 10?
From 9 to 10 a.m. on Thursday the 17th. So if you are available, please do register for that, or if you didn't receive it, let me know. I can get that to you.
Very good.
Do we have to register for that? I didn't see an RSVP on that.
There should have been a registered link. I don't know if you have to. That's a good question.
If you want to just let us know, we can let you know.
We're trying to get a donut.
Yeah.
Yes, that might be true.
All right. Council comments. Councilmember Behrman.
No issues.
Councilmember Gatchell.
No comment, thank you.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox.
My only comment is I'd like to thank Mr. Sigma for taking care of the weeds at the corner of Potter and Woodsville. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Sharp.
No comments, thank you.
Councilmember Smiley.
No comment.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
The only one I have is congratulations to Councilman Sharp, whose daughter got married this past
Thank you
year.
very much. Quite a party.
All right. My only comment is, please excuse me from the next council meeting as I'll be out of town. So with that, we'll move into a closed session.
I'll leave it.